Okay, guys, in the final stage, we're going to be mastering this track, so I'll be sharing a few basic mastering tips. Obviously, there's more advanced stuff that I also can never don't know, at least for now. But I'll be showing you how to approach your mastering process as a person who's beginning to be producing such tracks. So the first things first, you are done with mixing, you are happy with your mixing, so now you're supposed to focus on your master. So this thing, you have to remove it anyways, but doesn't matter if it's not playing any role at this moment. But for purpose of the tutorial, now this is my mix. So the first things first on my mix, I wanted to make sure that I was never picking. I remember talking about having a lot of headroom. Having headroom, there's plenty of space just below that 0 dB. We don't want to reach that 0 dB mark. So as you see my track, even if it's playing loud, it's peaking right at that point. So it's peaking right there below. So I was using this limiter to sort of guide me of my peaks and stuff. So this is the 0 dB mark and these are my peaks. Yeah. So at the end of the tutorial, we'll be having these peaks of mine getting closer there to that 0 dB mark, but not really hitting high above it because it will start to clip. So first things first, you head to your master and do EQ this first. We add this preset, which is 20 from 20 Hz to 18k Hz. Now the reason for this is that, as you can see, it cuts the very high up frequencies and those very low up frequencies. Now these frequencies, we can't really hear them. They are beyond the human ear, so that's why it's always useful to cut them off way before anything. Human beings can't hear those things. So the next part will be, we add the frequency once again. So here what we're going to do, we'll be manipulating the whole track, the whole mix. We'll be maybe boosting, if I can hear that my lower frequencies of the whole mix are a bit low or a bit high, then we'll be removing some or boosting somewhere. So what you should do at first is to listen to your track. So the part I'll be listening to is the part whereby almost everything plays at the same time. In music, it usually is the climax, but the type of tracks we're making are always different. So what I'm gonna do, I'm simply going to take this guy and boost up this just to give it a bit of brightness, sparkle. Now I'm not sure if you can clearly hear, but you're always gonna need high quality headphones, but you can hear the track sounds a bit brighter. There's a lot of that sparkle there at the end, which is these frequencies lying here. Now this is a bit too loud also, which was supposed to be fixed on the mix, obviously. next thing we're going to add is Maximus, which is a dynamics plugin for this, for mastering. So here on Maximus, the first thing you're going to do is highlight this knob. It will show the spectrums. This is your high end from 20 Hz to about 100. This is the low end, 20 Hz to about 100 Hz. These are the basic parts, and the lower mids maybe. Then your mids is from 200 Hz to above 2K, and from 2K to over. It's basically your highs. So everything is supposed to light up when you listen to that. Okay. Damn. Just highlight this part so that we keep on playing it. Now it shows that part because it's almost whereby everything on the track plays as my climax. So the next thing we're going to do is go to this spectrum here. This knob, you can see it's written low and high frequencies. It's just the lows and high frequencies. The low frequencies, you can see at the top left, it says 200 Hz. So if I push this up, as you can see, this spectrogram here, it's covering everything as the lows. So that's how it's going to treat my track. If everything that's covered by this right area is taken as the low end, and now everything on this right area is taken as the high end. Now, as you've noticed, there's no middle end on these knobs, just because if I mess up with this will automatically mess up with the mid end, and if I mess with this, it will automatically mess up with that middle end also. So what we're gonna do here is first press solo. Once you solo, as you can see, and press low, only your lower frequencies will play. Now those are your lows every time. Those are only your lows on the particular track. Now how you mess up around with this, once you hear something that is maybe a bit for example, if you can listen to that melody, swing, 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 that's something that definitely belongs on the bit of the middle frequencies. So I'm going to take this down a bit to try avoid those frequencies. I'm going to take it down a bit also, but I have to be careful not to do it too much, because even that melody has its own bass frequencies. So these are the ones that we have been able to hear at this point. So the lows, we're going to bring them into the middle a bit. This is the stereo. Once you separate them, once you merge, so every low end on the particular track will be heading it towards the end. So we have to be careful not to do everything too much, because we'll ruin the track obviously. So by doing that, I'm doing it while listening to the track itself. Okay, maybe we might leave it there for now. And then we have to make sure that we compress each and everything. This is the compression. So we're going to add some compression here, but not too much. Alright, let's keep it there for now. Then we head to the mids. Let's head to the highs. Now for example, on this high, if you maybe hear something that's more bass, then it definitely doesn't belong on the high, so you definitely have to move up a bit. So what I usually do on these ones of the highs, I just turn it down and start from right there in the middle. So as you can hear, I hear a bit of bass there, so I'm going to slowly move up until the bass disappears. Now you can hear, we can barely hear that bass, but because of the type of bass that I've used, it has that raw sound there at the high end of that hypersonic bass. So this one, I'm going to separate it. Higher frequencies are always separated and low frequencies are always matched. So I'm going to separate it. Maybe let's do 60. Yeah. So the mids, let's separate maybe around 10 also. Okay, let's try 25. And here I'll go 70. So we also try to compress this high end a bit also. You don't do it too much. Yeah, and that's about it. That's about it. So what's next is that now I'm sure you'll be able to hear the difference once I play this. Let's add all of the frequencies. Remove the solo so we can hear everything. If you can hear the different, guys, then you really shouldn't be here. This is without the maximus and the manipulation we did. Now I'll play it with the manipulation we all did. As you can hear, this one sounds a bit more open, more broader, and the sound is a bit richer than what we've had before. So from there, now what we're gonna do, we'll pay attention to this. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to add a limiter here again. Now this limiter, I'll be using it for a little bit of compression, because what I'm aiming for is that my peaks here will raise up high till this point. So since my kicks are the ones who are peaking, I want to sort of compress those kicks a bit to be much closer to everything here in the middle, so that everything will be a bit uniform, as in a bit same volume. Now you'll be able to see this as I do it. So I'm going to press here. This is the compression knob. Now guys, maybe I'll have to do a tutorial on some compression and all the other stuff, but not now. Okay, let's go. Now as I compress, you'll be able to see what the peaks that I'm compressing. So I'm going to take a threshold very low, about to the middle, and then the ratio a bit. So I'll be judging by compressing here. I'll be looking at this graph here, and I'll be seeing as I am compressing, the most parts that are compressed on this graph will appear right here at the top. As you can see, this little stuff, these are those big, I think these are purple, yeah. It's those purple areas that are being compressed. Now don't forget, this is this limiter here I'm using for compression. If I check out about here, you would see that this graph here is a bit smoother because it's already being compressed. Let's play it. You see this one is a bit smoother because of this compression here. Okay, let me do it like this so that you can see it. I'm going to overcompress it here. So all those purple areas are no longer there. Now you can see it here. You can see there's barely any peaks. Now I'm going to remove the compression. You see the peaks here. Now it's a bit lower. So yeah, that's a basic demonstration. Otherwise I don't compress too much. As you can see, it messed up with the sound. So I'll be compressing a bit. Maybe I'll be checking the ratio there. Probably about 1:2. I think that bit of compression is okay. I don't want to really do it too much because it will mess up the sound, obviously. Now we're going through. We're done here. Going through this line. Now this one will be just gaining here and going towards that peak. So now we are recovering all the loudness that we managed to run away from. Remember when I said we want some headroom here? So we're recovering all of that loudness. We're heading towards that 0. So I'll be using this gain knob to push the graph towards the peak. While it starts to peak, then I'll leave it there. Now the track will definitely be louder now, what we've always want to achieve. Okay, we have one peaking. Maybe we can forgive that one and let it go. Yeah, that is it, guys, and that is how you master your track on FL Studio. You can even listen to the difference from the beginning up until now. I think there's about 5 videos we've been working on this particular track from the beginning up until this point, and you listen to the beginning of this video before we mastered, and up until this point we've mastered it. And yeah, those are just a few basics, guys. Now what I've done here, there's a lot more steps maybe in between or way before, and a lot more different ways to do basically the same thing, but this is just a basic overview of how to approach this mastering process. Make sure your EQing is fine, make sure your dynamics are fine, your stereo is fine, and your compression is okay. Then yeah, from then you'll be sorted. But for now, yeah, thank you, guys. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you liked it or whatever. Bye bye.